Hey, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy Q, and look, 1 minute I'm prepping a video talking about how Realm was going to be shutting down, at least temporarily, like literally editing that bad boy last night, and then news releases, Realm's back, baby, but this time with a little bit of a switch, at least from what plans were supposed to be, because you see, in May, we were supposed to be seeing the start of Team Q, and it was supposed to be in both EMEA and NA, and now it's going to be in NA only, and you got to remember, Realm, when it started, it was this solo queue experience, right? That was credited for revitalizing several players' passion for Apex, including Ramboski, who came out of retirement briefly to play with Dark Zero, even though, as we discussed over here on the channel yesterday, he won't be playing with the squad over at LAN. And it actually started out in the EMEA region back in November and garnered a lot of attention. And when all of the pros were over in London for LAN, we saw quite a few of those players that were from originally outside that EMEA region take advantage of, have the opportunity to get to check out what Realm was all about. And it got quite a bit of positive feedback. It was getting to that time where it grew quite a bit of popularity, and it came to NA and was reportedly going to be heading to APAC next. And while there was definitely some negative promo going around on social media, I mean, let's be honest, there always is, right?
Do you guys want to run Bang Horizons here?
Nope, I'm playing Rev.
What? You're actually
I'm
playing
playing Rev.
But at the core concept, it was a great idea. But if we can be honest, I think the biggest problem, no, not the crypto thing. Although I will be digging into the crypto thing by the end of the video, so make sure you stick around for that. But I think the biggest problem really became when like people were trying to figure out what Realm was supposed to be, right? For me, it seemed like Realm was supposed to be a solo queue experience, right? That was supposed to kind of reflect that high level endgame ALGS playstyle, which would essentially allow up and coming aspiring competitors to get a little taste of what those lobbies were like while also playing against some of their region's top talent. And we saw plenty of people sharing the same sentiment over on Twitter, and even saw former pro Noko giving some advice over on Twitter as well. We saw coaches offering their time to help coach players that were going through Realm as well. And yeah, it had growing pains, and there were some things that were for like newer players they really needed to try to learn to be able to adapt to the competitive scene. But the problem really became when there was a question around what the entry point, that barrier was for Realm. And once it started to become a little bit fuzzy, it became quite difficult. I mean, was the entry point Predator? Was the entry point Masters with a vouch from somebody else who's already playing in Realm? I mean, we do have to come to the realization, right, that it does take a pretty substantial player base to be able to consistently fill and run these lobbies throughout the course of the day, right? And not everyone competing in these lobbies are, contract gamers who make their living off of gaming. And, then there were talks about having this crucible, which was supposed to help have this like relegation type of portion to the league. And it seemed like, well, most things coming out of Realm, that when it came out of the Realm camp, great idea, but then it was really only more at that surface level. Just, it never really seemed to be able to get much of any momentum going. And I'm not sure if it's just because, there wasn't enough help on the back end, if it was because of too much resistance from the community, or again, just not enough working hands on the back end to try and be able to implement some of these changes, right? And especially because at one point, right, they were essentially running all day, 5 days a week, running both NA and EMEA lobbies, right? I mean, I would imagine that'd be quite taxing. That's even one of the things that they mentioned when going back live for May, with it only being in NA. But, the things seem to be where the tension really started to rise. No, again, I'm not talking about the crypto thing, chat. I told y'all we'll get to that here at the end, here in just a moment. But when we started to see more tension and drama was when it started to affect other areas, right? When we started to see ALGS scrims start to suffer a little bit because players were too busy, really putting in that grind during the Realm hours that they weren't really able to focus up when it came to, teams to basically practice, right? And, when we're talking about scrims getting canceled and teams even getting called out by Minus Tempo. Tempo, by the way, is the one who helps put together NA scrims, in case you're sitting there like, what the anyways, but let's not forget, again, this month was actually supposed to be the start of Team Q anyways, right? Now pushed back to the 15th, which is really interesting when we think about things, right? Because with that start date being pushed back, it actually kind of helps relieve a little bit of that tension that was between organizers and Realm, right? Because it looked like Realm was trying to insert themselves into that scrim picture. And again, from the outside looking in, whether it's 10,000, 100,000, whatever, you put money on the table for teams to be able to compete for versus scrimming for free, you would understand why teams would want to compete for that money, right? And, you know, allowing the lobbies to truly be filled with the top most consistent teams playing for something instead of trolling what is often associated with scrims, right? Whether it's one region or the other. And again, it's one of those things where at surface level, it sounds so great, but I think the problem, at least for me, where my brain first goes to is for the teams trying to break into the scene, right? Because in theory, let's talk about some of those teams who just barely made it into ALGS last season, let's say for NA, right? If you look at the grand scheme of things, they kind of need a little bit more practice. They need more time. They need more film. And when you talk about only being able to take the top 20 teams, something like this almost inadvertently starts to act as a little bit of a gatekeeping function, at least until there's like a true tier 2 scene, right? Because as of right now, there just really isn't one, which is a very unfortunate situation that we do find ourselves in. And, you know, going back to what I thought the goal of Realm was going to be, was to kind of get this whole solo queue experience, help give some people some reps, help find and develop that new talent. But, you know, with them now postponing things to back where there's after the end of NA regionals, which is this weekend, which means Team Q starts the weekend after, this may help alleviate a little bit of that additional stress that was kind of going around with everything. It may give Realm its best shot at finding some level of success. And look, I get it, y'all. I know y'all are probably sick of me dancing around this other topic that's been so often linked in the discussions revolving around Realm on social media the last few days, and that's the crypto. And before we dive into the whole crypto portion of this video, I need y'all to understand something. I am not a financial advisor. I mean, shoot, I'm not even like an esports advisor. Are you kidding me? I'm just a esports fanatic that loves to tell it how it is over here on the channel, which is why I love to come over here, because I do put out almost daily esports news, updates, interviews, power rankings, you name it. So if you're enjoying the vibes, you want to make sure you're back over here for some more videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn those notifications on. Make sure you tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody about it, all right? But there's been a lot of rumors circling around if there's crypto involved in Realm, and, you know, for good reason. I mean, it does appear to have some sort of cryptocurrency backing to it. And, you know, while I'm far from a type of person to be able to tell someone else to pass up on some cold hard cash that's backed by cryptocurrency, but what I do know is that crypto is quite the volatile market. And if crypto is what's, you know, being converted for payouts, especially if the crypto that's being converted specifically for payouts from some pictures that I've seen here lately, if that's the same crypto that's been under this banner the whole time where they announced having over $1 million worth of funding, that particular cryptocurrency has lost over 90% of its face value since November, when the league was first announced over in EMEA. So, you know, when we talk about having a lot of the ins and outs, and honestly, I don't know a lot of what's going on in the background, but when we talk about just the business standpoint, you've lost potentially 90% of your face value. You can kind of understand why they needed to find a way to make some sort of money, right? And maybe Team Q will give Realm that perfect chance. Not just that, but a chance to maybe be able to kind of smooth some of those edges for the solo experience in the back end. But it definitely feels like they've got to find themselves some sort of way to be able to make some of that money back, whether they talked about having themselves a broadcast and being able to get themselves sponsors and stuff like that. Because as we talked about, you know, earlier, at the rate that the market's been, especially for crypto, they're burning money not only just in spending, but potentially in converting as well. It's just a very dangerous business plan, but it does look like I said, they're going to have the broadcast going on. Things kicking off here on the 15th. So I'm kind of curious, YouTube, y'all think we should be planning to do some watch parties over here? What do y'all think? If y'all thinking y'all want to do something like that, let me know down in those comments below, or just use those comments to tap in. Because remember, those comments, along with those likes that you're all about to light up down there in that bottom right-hand corner, those are the two things that help your boy out the most when it comes to that YouTube algorithm and getting my content in front of more people, all right? Because I do almost daily esports news updates, things like that, like I mentioned over here earlier. So until we catch y'all back over here on the channel, or until our paths cross somewhere else, man, don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love hard, all right, y'all? It's your boy Q, signing out.
If you ain't show something, you just don't wanna be. You wanna be me, but you will never be as fresh as see you in.